Why, hello there, fellow dock workers and farmers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Pompeii the Legacy. Episode 3, Sowing the Fields and Building a Port. Alright, clay pit is done. So if we open up the, is it general? Yeah, the general production. As I mentioned before, it has to be within the blue area of the riverbanks. And I'll put a clay pit... let's see. Let's go ahead and run a road from where the fishing is east. So we can lay it out kind of grid-like. And then build the clay
pits must be placed along the riverbank. That's where the best clay can be extracted.
Alright, so we'll have a clay pit there. And I'll put a depot adjacent to the clay pit. And then eventually we're going to need a pottery workshop, and there is synergy between the clay pit and the pottery workshop. And I think also the charcoal burner as well. Let me take a look. So, charcoal burner near brickworks, brick production rises. So, putting the charcoal burner near the brickworks is ideal, and the brickworks should be where your clay is, so we'll cluster them all together. And there's also the local clay supply, which is the clay pits next to pottery. Pottery has a lowered upkeep. So we'll take advantage of those adjacencies. Alright, back to the farm. Opening up the fertility overlay. So here's where the fertile soil is. Let's plant 192 tiles. Actually, you know what? How do I remove... I don't know if I can. Let's go ahead and plant on the fertile soil. And we need about 100 more tiles. There we go. That's 192. Perfect. So now we're starting to supply grain as well. The charcoal burner got researched. I think, so if I open up the charcoal burner, I'm not getting adjacent bonuses for those industries over there. So what I'll do is I'll put the charcoal burner down here.
You seek Fortuna's blessing for a man far from home.
Yes. My husband fights for Rome. I ask only for his safe return.
Fear not. The gods have not turned their eyes from him. But tell me, Domina, do you only pray for his return? Or for Pompeii's future?
The city struggles. Food, goods, even faith wavers in uncertain times.
A city without bread does not stand, but a city without spirit and culture is already lost. Remember this as you guide your people.
One thing I have not been keeping up on is prefectures. So some of the new structures do lie outside of the prefecture coverage, especially the stuff down here. So I'm going to put a prefecture down here near the fishing wharf and the pottery and charcoal burners. And then another prefecture over here covering the eastern... I'll probably put it like a bit up the way.
We're running short on slave labor. Build more shelters so the city can accommodate additional workforce.
There we go. And just keep ramping up the house building, outpacing the needs. All right. So we are needing more basic goods than we are supplying, but adding pottery will help out with that a whole bunch because it's a secondary basic need and it will average it out. So here it is. pottery workshops. And we'll put the pottery workshop, all right, where is the flamethrower? Okay. We'll put the pottery workshop right across the street from the depot and the charcoal burner. That should work.
We're running short on slave labor. Build more shelters so the city can accommodate additional workforce.
That farm is really bringing in the grain now. So my food went from like 190 or 95 to 150, which is awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, we have unlocked granary. So I'm also going to put a granary up here next to the farm as well, to be able to store, you know, food from the farms, because I'm planning on having a lot of agriculture up this way, where the soil fertility is ideal. You're not sure you'd want to build anything on a rock clay foundation? Well, yeah, but that's in basically all of the Carolinas. I used to live in North Carolina, and everything, the soil there wasn't soil, it was clay. Pelagic clay. Alright, I am not producing enough lumber to keep up with demand. I'm producing 50, I'm using 57. So, needless to say, we need another sawmill. Let's stick that there, with the production adjacency bonus with the forester's camp. The forester is also not keeping up, producing 33, using 36. So we are going to need another forester as well. And it doesn't actually necessarily need to be in a whole new square. But what I'll do is I'll take a look at the architect's office. I can put a forester's camp like here, which falls under the sphere of influence of the forester's office, which I think is probably ideal, so that it can be a building that is maintained. So, forester right there. And that way we maintain our wood and lumber balance. As soon as it's thrown out of balance, a lot of industries will fail. So the grain fields, for instance, required input of lumber, as do the prefectures, as do a lot of things, hunting camps, etc. So when you run out of lumber, your cities get messed up fast, in other words. Same with the clay pit. Just every industry relies on lumber just about, so it's not something to run out of. If you're wondering about the prefecture fire coverage, here's the coverage that we have so far. I was gonna upgrade this prefecture to cover these new buildings. Not everything needs to be perfectly covered, as I said before. The fire risk in the game is like pretty low, and it doesn't happen all that frequently. And when it does happen, a singular building out in the middle of nowhere is a really low risk. The risk is greater in cities where the fire will spread from house to house, but like a single forester in the middle of nowhere is like probably going to be fine. Okay. We're producing 75, using 57, and what we could do is we'll upgrade this anytime our demand is greater than our supply. And same is true of the forester. So this forester already needs to upgrade 1. And now it's 53 over 50, perfect. So those shortages are fixed, and those shortages might change the minute we get a pottery workshop up, but still. Pottery workshop's done.
The ground. It moved. Again.
Vesuvius stirs. Ash in the air, just as it once was.
Stay calm. Do not panic. This is not the end of Pompeii. Follow the orders and return to your homes.
Okay. There will be 60 days of volcanic ash, reducing the yield from farms. So our food production is down from 150 to 128, but it's still greater than our need, so we'll be fine. Who would have guessed that building around a volcano would have ash? Didn't see that coming. All right, other research to think about. Local clay supply. So clay pit is next to a pottery. Pottery has lower upkeep. Sounds good to me. And increase farm production by 5%. Sounds good to me. And when a granary and grain farm are built next to each other, the granary gains storage space. Sounds good. We'll queue up all three of those right now.
No, this isn't how it was meant to be. The city trembles, the sky falls. This is not the will of men, but of gods. Damn them all. I must get out, away from this cursed place. Let the fools stay and pray.
Thank you, Tamarind and Callie, for the resub. And bye-bye, Sola. You got scared of a... He got scared of a little ash. We'll call him an ash hole. And here's an indicator of the balancing of basic goods. So now that we're producing pottery, our demand for pottery and furniture are down to 16. Before it was like 32 for furniture and we weren't keeping up. So instead of making more furniture, a variety is even better. So now we have pottery and furniture. And if you take a look at the individual homes, some of the individual homes will like have pottery and furniture in them as a result, unless they've consuming them too quickly. Okay, we just researched local clay supply so that the upkeep of the pottery workshop is decreased. Nice. And we're almost through the ash storm. Man, that just gave me some serious Morrowind flashbacks. It also looks like I am running a little low on slave housing, so I'll add 2 more new slave houses.
Ha! As if I would flee like some frightened fool. Urgent matters called me away, but now that the dust has settled, I return to restore order.
Oh, what
As
a loser.
long as Sula controls the merchants, we must remain at his mercy. We need our own trade route, one that he cannot touch.
I will not let this city starve under his shadow. Pompeii will not bow to him or anyone else. We build a port. No more delays.
A port will give us control. If we can trade directly with nearby cities, his blockade means nothing.
Then we must start with the foundation. Bricks. A brickworks will give us what we need to begin construction.
Then see it done. Sula thinks he can tighten his grip around Pompeii. Let him try. We will be stronger than ever.
Construct a brickworks. All right. So, brickworks right there. That will be researched next. And there is adjacency bonuses of the brickworks. So again, charcoal burner and brickworks next to one another is ideal. So we'll put them next to one another. And my charcoal burner is right here. So we know where the brickworks is going to go once we have it unlocked. Now that the ash is lifted, we're producing 163 food, consuming 120. No problem at all. And some of that is a result of the recent research, the basic production. And now we're going to, so the grain farm is producing even more than it was before. I swear, the grain here I know it's grain, but at a distance, it so much looks like corn that I'm like, ooh, corn. But, like, it's not. And yeah, there are vegetables that you get later on, but, like, much later on. Vegetable farming is over here, way deep in the research tree, which is kind of funny, because it's like, if I was settling a new town, I would probably go veggies first, because grain requires, like, a lot of, you know, infrastructure, like windmills and mills and bakeries. But, like, vegetables you can just eat out of the ground. But, you know, whatever. I'm not the architect. All right. We just got the harvest flow, so the storage space for grain has increased. Awesome. So now our granary has a storage capacity of 5,500 instead of 5,000, I believe. Yeah, maybe. No, even better. It had a capacity of 3,500 and it went up to 55. Wait, I feel like their math is wrong. That's a huge boost. But whatever, I'll take it. It works for me. I think it gave me 2,000 rather than 20%. Cool. A lot more storage for food. If you take a look at the stocks here, you can see that we have a certain number of storage capacity. So my granary capacity is 5,500. And my depots, I have 5 of them at 7,500, and then the town center, and it all adds up. And what you need to do is you need to make sure to have enough storage for this stuff, because as soon as you run out of storage, like, your industries will sort of grind to a halt, because they're trying to shove, you know, resources into a system that can't handle it. So that's why if you keep seeing me, like, check the balance of my inputs and outputs, I'm trying to keep them in check so that I don't need to build, like, a giant array of depots for storage, because that's not very efficient. All right, we researched brickworks, so let's get flame flow next, but put down our brickworks right next to our charcoal burner. After that, because we know we are trying to get a trade port, I'm going to queue up Iron Mine, because the trade port requires the Blacksmith Forge, which requires the Iron Mine, and then I'm also doing mine durability too. The game needs some arrow. Sure. I mean, it's pretty easy to just mouse over it, though. I don't necessarily disagree, but going into your stocks, it will actually show you a chart once you play long enough. So, like, if because it's a new year, it doesn't show me the previous year, so I have to use the mouse. But, like, here's our lumber, right? And it will chart the whole thing. So there is a lot of indicating overlays that help you to keep track of your stocks, and you don't need to do as fine-tuning as I am doing here, because you have a lot of wiggle room once you build warehouses. Warehouses are the upgraded versions of depots, which you unlock later on, and warehouses have a massive amount of storage space so that you don't have to just fiddle with it. I just like fiddling with it because, you know, I'm a min-maxer that can't help it. Alright, we just got flame flow. So now there'll be a synergy between the charcoal burner and the brickworks. And we're researching iron mine. And the iron mines work the same way the quarries do. You just stick them into a mountain. I do have a water shortage. Oh, okay, let's fix that. Let's put a well here. And then this well will upgrade. And this well will upgrade. The next upgrade tier of well requires bricks. So I won't be able to do that until the brickworks is up and running. And yeah, you eventually get aqueducting, which really helps to significantly solve your your water supply problem, because wells can only go so far. Eventually it will require like proper aqueducts and water pumps and the like. Alright. Wood and lumber still looks fine. Furniture and pottery looks fine. Food, we are, if anything, overproducing. We have a lot more grain. We grow twice as much grain as we use. Could be an export, one of our first exported goods, once we get the trade port, which is the current goal. And we just unlocked the mine. So let's build one. Iron mine. Here we go. Perfect. And the brickworks got built.
We are ready to build, but without proper tools, the port will remain just an idea on parchment. We need iron, and we need smiths to forge it.
Then we will get them. What must be done?
An iron mine must be established, and a blacksmith forge to process the ore. With these, our workers will have the tools they need.
Then begin immediately. Pompeii will not be left waiting.
Alright, it wants us to build an iron mine, which I currently have queued up, and then build a blacksmith forge. There is a fuel link between a charcoal burner and blacksmith forge, so if I need to ever make more charcoal, it would be wise to put my other charcoal burner near the blacksmith forge, which is probably going to be near the iron mine, because there's also smelting proximity. An iron mine next to a blacksmith forge gains reduced upkeep. So, if I click the iron over here and make it charcoal, I can see that I'm producing 16 using 19. So even right now as it is, it might make sense for me to put a charcoal burner up here, fully knowing that I need more charcoal anyway. And then I'll switch this back to iron. I could have done this a different way too. But yeah, we'll take advantage of the proximities between the iron mine, the blacksmith, and the charcoal burner. All right, we just researched mine durability, and in order to get the blacksmith forge, we need to actually physically mine iron first. So I'm going to queue up the other research things until we get the blacksmith forge built. What does the current research do? It's a 5% general work efficiency. It's a blanket 5%. So for instance, at the moment, we're producing 53 wood, and once it's done, that should get boosted by 5%. There, now we're producing 60. And that boosts everything, which is really convenient. And it's also why I'm not trying to get well ahead of my production, because I know that there's a lot of these like efficiency bonuses built in. And if you're like, oh no, I am not making enough lumber by like 2 units. Like, you're not going to run out for years, so you might as well just wait for, like, a research project, because often that's better. Alright. Right now, we need to wait until we have 120 iron before we can actually research the blacksmith forge. And there is a huge bonus to charcoal, which is great. So what is my charcoal now? I am producing 38. Cool. That's plenty. Food still looks good. Basic goods looks good. I mean, there's not much to do about denarii yet, because I don't have like a tax office. I don't do trade. So what's producing denarii, if you're wondering, because I never really covered it, is just the tax-paying plebeians that pay a certain amount per year based upon their population. If you want a lot more taxes, what you could do is you could have a lot of unemployed plebes, and the unemployed plebeians would pay taxes, and you would need to supply them like basic goods and food. But you could build your cities that way. I'm just choosing not to because it's not necessary for the story mode campaign tutorials. Still boot. Thank you for the resub. All right, we will have enough iron next harvest period to be able to unlock the forge. You can see it here. Production cycle durations. All right. Blacksmith forge coming in 28 days. And this is the last like major resource. Which reminds me, I am not producing enough clay, so I'm going to upgrade my clay pit. Twice, actually. I can't do twice. I need tools. But we are using more clay than we are producing. Because previously it was just the pottery workshop, but now it's also the brickworks. And the brickworks goes through a lot of clay quickly. You do end up, or at least whenever I play, I do end up with like a lot more bricks than I have need for. So often I'll just turn off my brickworks once I have like a nice supply of like 1,000 or so. So I only have 240 bricks right now, but so I'll keep it going for now. But that's something to potentially do later on. Is just industries that you don't need. You can just hit inactive and it just turns it off. So here is the forge. Dropping it in. And I don't think there's any research for us to get now, because all the research is locked up on actually having tools from the Blacksmith forge. So it's a universal bottleneck. And many of the buildings that we have require tools to upgrade to the next tier as well, which I'm interested in doing because our fishing hut is down to now 81%, and the quarry's probably 86%. So they've had some wear and tear and they haven't been maintained, and that's because the architectural office doesn't actually cover that area, which it should once I upgrade, I hope. Fingers crossed. Alright, there's the forge, and I'm actually going to upgrade the
This will be
output.
our boldest move yet. Now is the time to begin construction of the port. If Sula intends to stop us, he will strike with full force.
Then we must be ready to fight.
No, we will not fight Sula on his terms. He thrives on violence, but he cannot control what he does not understand. Culture.
Culture? How will that stop him?
A city without bread does not stand. But a city without spirit and culture is already lost. If we show the people what Pompeii truly is, Sula's influence will wither. Son, I leave this city in your hands. Protect your siblings and do not let Sula provoke you. I will return tomorrow with a solution to our problems.
I won't let you down, but where are you going?
To Capri. There is someone I must speak with.
Alright. So I upgraded the architectural office, and it does cover the quarry, and it does cover the, everything on the port, so it's perfect. I put it, I couldn't have put it anywhere better. Right? Because these are regaining its stability now. So the next research to get is going to be trade port. We are going to need to build up a supply of 80 tools to be able to research it. So once the tools up here hits 80, we're good to go. Good to start researching, I guess. And Carthrain, thank you for the resub. Welcome. How much storage do I have? We're about half filled. And a lot of that is grain that we're not using. All right, there it is. There's the trade port tools. So queuing up the trade port research. And then after we get trade port research, I might consider getting fuel link for production speed for the blacksmith forge, and then also smelting proximity as well. Keep getting all those like passive bonuses because they really do add up a lot. I also need to upgrade the clay pit. True. And there it goes. So now we're producing exactly what I'm using. I'll probably throw one more upgrade at it. I don't really know. I didn't have the tools for that, so I'm not really sure where they came from, but whatever, I was allowed to upgrade it all the same. So now we're producing 38 using 30. We're in the black for that as well. Same for the iron. Same for everything else. Wood is pretty close. So given that it is close, I'm going to get ahead of it and upgrade my forester's camp, my other forester's camp, to start out producing, because wood is one of those things that like often you'll need to get a whole lot of it for lumber for research. So just breaking even isn't enough because a lot of the research projects require bricks or wood or tools to unlock. So you'll all of a sudden have one big lump sum bulk payment. So it's very nice to have a large surplus of those things. All right, port is unlocked. So port is a trade and supply, and we need 500 bricks, 200 tools to be able to build it. So I don't have the materials just yet, but I'll place down where it will go there. As far as bricks, we're at 460, so I'm gonna have the bricks probably pretty soon. I'm not too worried about that. The tools is what we're gonna be waiting on, and I will get fuel link, even though it costs me tools now, because it will pay dividends in the end, as it is a 15% production speed is kind of nice. Stone, as you can see, has been in a plummet. But we're still producing more than we're using. I'll add one more work slot to it. Just as a buffer. Let's go back to stocks. Clay is now bouncing back. I know my overlay is kind of in the way. I'll hide it for now. Iron is doing just fine. Grain is ridiculous. Meat is about plateaued because I haven't been adding more hunters. But as I add in alternative calorie sources, you know, fruit or vegetables, it will even out. Mushrooms is again just on the same decline because I don't have more than one gatherer. Charcoal's fine. Tools is skyrocketing. Bricks is plummeting, but those bricks are being used for the one-time purchase of a port. Pottery is climbing. Furniture is climbing at similar rates. So yeah, as far as stocks go, we're pretty solid. I'm not worried about that. We do now need 2 variety of food, but we're still at 1 variety of basic goods. All the bricks have been delivered, so now we're just waiting on the tools, but I have 230 tools, so we should be able to get that no problem. Speaking of which, that's enough tools to unlock smelting proximity as well. And then I'm not going to get ahead of the tutorial. I'm going to wait until it asks me to do the other buildings. But we're looking good. The tools must be in transit, so let's try to figure out who's actually hauling. Are you hauling? Yeah, you're hauling the tools. I can see his little wheelbarrow. Tools. Yep, he brought them all. I'm not sure I would trust one slave with 200 tools to be delivered and not, you know, smuggled to Sula, but whatever. Apparently he was not easily bribed by Sula, which is good for us. and smelting link just got done. Optimize the city services, logistics, prefecture, architect's office to have reduced input costs. Yeah, let's get that. The game's tutorial never really asks you to get any of the passive bonus research options or the link options, so you can get that stuff without like getting ahead of the tutorial, no problem. What a good intern.
The people have had enough. The city's resources are dwindling, and leadership has failed them. Pompeii belongs to those strong enough to rule it.
After the disaster, you fled this city and abandoned it. For 20 years you were nowhere to be found. Yet now, you sabotage Pompeii's rebirth from the very first day.
Empty words, carried away by the wind. When we are finished with you, they will mean nothing.
You forget yourself, Sulla. You bring disorder into a place of governance. In the presence of the Empress.
Is this how you serve Rome, Sulla? Stirring chaos in a city striving for prosperity? I came to Pompeii to support its cultural revival, not to witness petty ambition.
I only speak for the people, Augusta.
The people will be heard, not through force, but through progress. The Empire rewards those who build, not those who seek to divide. Remove him.
Thank you, revered Empress. Because of your wisdom, Pompeii will stand stronger than ever.
And Rome will watch with great interest.
Well, I guess we know what Octavia was doing. She got him in trouble. Sulla has been removed from Pompeii. That's a good wife. All right, so research the concept of schooling in the societal research tree. So now that we have the trade port, if we go to the governance, there's this other tab at the top, society, and that allows us to research domuses where patricians live, and then eventually schools for schooling. The game doesn't really do a good job of explaining that you have like this secondary tab here. So it's really easy to be like, schooling, where the hell is that? Let me just say, I looked for schooling in the tech tree a lot before I was like, oh, society research tree. Okay. Took me a minute. Or a few minutes. The tutorial will also tell me to set up a trade run eventually. And it's actually a little counterintuitive about how to do that, but it's not asking for me to do it just yet, so I'm not going to. But if you go out to the Empire tab, you can see that we can hypothetically trade with Ostia or Carthago, because we have active potential deals with them, but we don't have deals with a lot of the other locations here. Like, you know, everything in red. Thank you for tuning in to Pompeii the Legacy, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Roman citizens.